Hey guys, it's Mitch. How's it going? It's October, it's the spooky season, and I've got a few guys in the Discord who were wondering if I was going to include some horror comics in the reviews for this month. And while I do think that's a pretty good idea, I don't have a whole lot of singular horror comics. I have trades. I have a bunch of trades. So I think that might be the way to go. And honestly, I think that might be the way to go for horror comics generally. A single issue can be fun, but it's tough to build up like suspense over the course of like 20 pages or 40 or whatever. It's better if you can get 4, 6, 12 issues, something like that. So I thought for October what we do is we go over a couple of the horror comic trades that I have. I don't have a ton, and we can go over them real quick. I'll just let you know the basics of what's going on in the comic, what I thought of it personally, whether I think it's worth checking out. Most of them that I have, I do think that they are, obviously, but there is the odd one where it's like, man, I bought this and it kind of fucking sucked. So we can start off with a newer book. This is one that I think is fairly well known as a horror comic these days. This is Ice Cream Man. This is put out by Image Comics. And I got this a few years back when I was starting to get back into comics. And I had no idea what was popular anymore. So I just kind of started looking through lists, like on Reddit or whatever, just like what's a good bunch of comics I should get into. And this one kept coming up. So I thought I'd check this out. And I would describe this as an existential horror comic, which is not something I would usually describe anything as, I don't think. I think what I expected was something along the lines of like, in the early Stephen King short story collections, there's The Milkman 1 and 2, where the milkman is kind of like a malevolent guy who goes around. Some people he delivers the milk to as they request, others he gives like poison gas or tarantulas or whatever the fuck to. You know, it's kind of a dumb little short story. I kind of thought this might be along those lines, where the ice cream man is just kind of a guy running an ice cream truck. Some kids he sells actual ice cream to, others he poisons or terrifies or whatever. And that's not really the case. But in this case, the Ice Cream Man is sort of a periphery character. Sometimes he has a bit of a larger role in the story, sometimes he doesn't. Really, the focus of the story is just like the horrors of mortality and like getting old and losing touch with people and, you know, losing track of your dreams and maybe suffering a horrible fate. But like that horrible fate isn't like dying at the hands of a monster. It's like dying penniless in Milwaukee. Or you might die at the hands of a monster, but while you're doing it, you'll regret that you never told your parents you loved them. That kind of thing. It is very well written, I will say that. The art style, it feels like it has some shared DNA with somebody like Frank Quitely or maybe Jason Burrows, where I could see some people thinking their style is boring, but they do have a way of drawing things that so that everything fits into the world they're drawing, and they do draw everything. So for instance, I could show you a little bit of issue 2, which is in this collection. So this one is about a couple of junkies. The boyfriend junkie, not doing too well. The girlfriend junkie is going to try and find something to fix him. And while she goes out, we get basically their whole life story about how they met and about how they fell in love with each other and how they fell in love with junk. And it is kind of a horrifying story because, you know, at the beginning, they're just a couple of kids who seem pretty normal apart from the fact that they like recreational drugs a bit too much. Although even that, you know, there's some normality in that. And they just make bad decisions and go further and further down a bad path until they're finally in this place where one of them is really sick. The other one wants to help him. But, you know, neither of them are particularly bright and their brains are all fucked up on drugs. We also get a bit of a subplot here with another character who gets killed by one of the junkies. But, like, you know, it's important that we get to know who this character is before he gets killed meaninglessly. And at the end of the story, she wasn't able to find anything to help her boyfriend. She did steal an ice cream truck, which belonged to the ice cream man. So naturally, she draws the attention of the ice cream man. And what he does is he offers her sort of a moral choice where she can have the purest heroin that's ever been known to man, which she can give to her boyfriend to ease his suffering, or she can take herself because she likes drugs. And if she were a strong-willed character, she probably wouldn't be in this position. So naturally, she takes the drugs, she overdoses, she dies. And then the rest of the story is her boyfriend coming to terms with his girlfriend ODing on him and then trying to get clean and having to live out the rest of his life. It's kind of fucking horrible. And that's kind of really most of the story in terms of plot, but it is very well written and it gets you very empathetic to the plight of the main characters. And I mean, each issue is different. I saw some opinions online that the book gets pretty repetitive. Maybe it does. I don't know. I just tend to read them one at a time. But they might come at it from a supernatural angle or a sci-fi angle or more like a day-to-day drama angle or like crime. Some of them are genuinely fun. Most of them make you think. But I think the thing you can say about all of them is that like they're fucking downers. So, I mean, if you don't want to read a downer comic, you probably don't want to read this. I do read it. I've read them all. I think they're really good. I just try not to read too many too often. Because my day-to-day job is as an insurance agent, it's already difficult for me to justify going into work every day, and this book doesn't help that. Anyway, I would recommend it, but it's definitely not for everyone. So that's going to do it for this. Like I said, just a quick little video. I'll see if I can get a bunch of these done before the end of the month. And I'll try and sneak a couple of spooky themed comics into the regular revisits over the course of the month. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.